welcome to the Comic Schtick Podcast, the podcast where comics are my shtick. My name is Blake T. Wild. You may also know me as Smokey's Videos. And I am back. I'm back after missing a week of the podcast. I am back. How can you miss me if I never left? He said, knowing no one missed him. So I am back. Unfortunately, I did have to skip a week. Finally had to skip one. And it was the 20th week. Made it pretty far without having to do that. But not that far in the grand scheme of things. I didn't have a whole lot of time last week. I've been trying to find a new place to live, trying to find an apartment or a home to rent. So that has just been a fucking hassle, doing the whole rigmarole of that. The stress and depression and anxiety and just terrible feelings and anger that I've been feeling just at the general outcome of the world. It was just really fucking kicking me down. Every place that we tried to, even tour immediately was already sold or was already rented out. So that just kept kicking me down even more. So I was just not, mentally or emotionally up to recording an episode of the podcast. I got more work done on the Crisis on Infinite Earths What Is video. So I need to get that going so I can get back into things with that. But yeah, so I didn't record anything last week, which is why I missed an episode. I just told you why. And then, how long has it been? Has it been 1 week or 2 weeks? I can't remember. I think it's been 1 week. Yeah. And then I tried recording again earlier this week. This might come out late. I'm not sure. And I just had fucking such just terrible allergies that I had like a sinus headache that just made my whole fucking face hurt. And it hurt to speak, so I was out of commission for the day. And then this past week, the week that you're watching this, Tuesday, we did more looking around for apartments. We finally found a place that is fairly cheap, but still in a fairly good part of town, that we went and looked at and applied for. So we did that. That's what took up most of the week as well. So, just not a whole lot of time recently. I'm going to be starting school again in August, late August. And that is thankfully going to only be one class. And it's the final class that I need at all. And then I'm done with college, unless I want to fucking go back and get a master's. It is the last course I need for my bachelor's degree in graphic design. And it is a fucking math class. It is a pre-calculus class, and I have only taken these pre-calculus classes online through ASU, Arizona State University, and it is the fucking worst experience I've ever had. I took it twice. The first time, due to the workload, I was unable to just get halfway through it. I could not keep up. And the second time, I had some experience with it, so I got to the point where I got before, and then after that, it just fell apart, and I didn't pass it either. Oh my god, those fucking classes, if you ever, I don't know how many colleges use fucking McGraw-Hill, what is it called? I can't remember what the fucking piece of shit program is, but it's awful. The professors, this is my tangent. I'm going on a fucking tangent here just because it pisses me off so much. The professors in these classes are pretty redundant. They don't really do much there, I guess, aside from, hey, if you want to contact them for help, but that's about it. And they look over the grades of the things you did. They don't really grade much at all because it's all through this third-party program produced by McGraw-Hill, which is a fucking big old scam of a company. And it's, I don't know how many weeks it is. The thing with ASU is that they split a semester into sessions. So one school semester for college is usually, all the way through. With ASU, they do the first half, the second half, and then like the entirety. So depending on, where you go, your workload's pretty fucked, which is what happened the first time I took this class. And that was because there was like, I don't even remember how many topics there were. I'll say 80 different topics at minimum. 80 topics to cover in this math class, and each of these topics has like a select amount of subcategories to them, and each of those subcategories has 3 to 5 questions each. And the fucked up thing is that it provides you very little information on what you're supposed to be doing. There are videos and programmed walkthroughs, kind of. Like, if you don't know a question, you can put, like, click, don't know this question, show me how to do it. It'll show you how to do it, but it won't help you learn how to do it. It'll just, oftentimes, it assumes that you know how it gets to a certain point of the equation. But with that, there would be one example question, and then it just drops you in the deep end. And you have 3 to 5 questions to complete. All at varying difficulties, and hey, you may not have even covered any of these before. Good luck. That's what you got the little help button for. But the thing with that is I spent all of those classes just using YouTube tutorials as my teacher. Because the built-in shit was just horrendous, and the tutoring wasn't very helpful, just because it was online, the tutoring through ASU. Especially after COVID, they really downsized, and it really fucked up the tutoring. You're just getting rushed through those sessions. At least that's what it was when I took it. Yeah, I'm really going on a fucking tangent here. Anyway, so this math program, let's say there's 5 questions. You get the first one right, boom, checks off a little box. You get the second one right, 2 in a row, boom, boom, checks off 2 boxes. But then, the fun thing is that it punishes you for doing it incorrectly and not being able to solve it your first try. Because if I have those 3 boxes checked, and I get the 4th one incorrect, it deducts a point. And it keeps deducting points if you keep getting things wrong. So you can stay on one topic for an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, however long, if you just can't wrap your head around it and you don't cheat or look anything up, then you're going to be fucking stuck on this one topic when you need to have a certain quota met each week of topics. And that is the most fucked up thing. So anyway, that was my experience at ASU Online with the pre-calculus class, because it was the same fucking thing. And now I just have to take it at a local college, or a community college rather, and I'm just hoping that the in-person helps me pass it. But all this boils down to me saying that I might not have many videos coming out anytime soon. Just due to, again, we're trying to work towards getting this apartment. We applied, we got approved. I gotta fucking give them a pay stub that I haven't gotten yet for this month. We gotta do a bunch of other shit with that to hopefully get it. And then I'm gonna start classes next month. So that's gonna be real fun. Okay, that wraps up my rants. Good thing there's time codes in the description for you to skip ahead. Okay, let's get right into this with the comic talk. Not a lot, just got one comic that I've read, and that was Amazing Spider-Man number 4. A lot of the stuff that I'm going to be discussing is outdated, since this is what I should have talked about a week or week and a half ago. So bear with me. Next week I'll try and get caught up with some stuff. So Amazing Spider-Man 4 by Zeb Wells and John Romita Jr. It's fun. It's a quick read. I read through it very quickly, and I've said before I'm a very slow reader, especially when it comes to comics or prose novels at all. I'm just a slow reader. I like to take my time. I like to imagine the characters, each individual voices, how they're saying it. That's why I never liked having to fucking read in class, because whenever I read books, I always I see a movie happening in my head. I'll take actors that I recognize and know, and I'll cast them as characters in whatever books I'm reading. And you give them inflections, and you don't just read it. It was it was the best of times, it was the worst of times. Blah 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 blah. You don't just read it monotonely. At least I don't. I read it as, hopefully I would assume someone would if they were actually speaking it. So you take pauses, you do stuff like that. Just make it a more interesting experience. So that's why it takes me so long to read. That's why I didn't like reading in class. Because people just made it so boring. Whenever I hear people read out loud, it's always just that monotonous, matter-of-fact tone that people always use. But anyway, it is a quick read. Not a lot of story happening. There is a little bit with Tombstone and Robbie from the Daily Bugle. I guess they knew each other as kids. I don't know. I feel like Robbie Robertson was maybe one of the kids that bullied him or something. That's sort of what I thought it was going. And then they they share a drink or something, they're old buddies, blah, blah, blah. There is a great twist, which is at the end of last issue, Tombstone reveals that he's going to have his goons dress up like the Rose's crew. And that way, when he makes them or orders them to go and shoot up a city street, when the heroes show up, they'll go straight for the Rose. And then they leave Peter Parker, Spider-Man, underground in this, abandoned subway tunnel or something. Well, in this issue, Spider-Man breaks out, even though it's adamantium. Is that? No, it's not even adamantium. It's just titanium manacles that he's trapped in, and for some reason he can't break them. I don't get that, but he breaks out and he starts beating the shit out of Tombstone's guys, and he escapes through the doorway that leads up to the surface level, and he's like, okay, I'm in Tombstone's hideout, I'm underneath it, I gotta get up to the top and stop anybody from leaving. And so he's just fucking fighting his way up to the top, and he finally gets there after just destroying all these goons that are dressed like the Rose's men. And he kicks down the door to Tombstone's office, and lo and behold, the Tombstone put him beneath the Rose's headquarters. So Spider-Man just took out Tombstone's #1 competition free of charge. And that whole thing was a ruse, which is such a clever idea. That's a great story point. I really dug that twist. I'm really digging Tombstone as the villain. He looks cool. He just sounds cool. I'm interested to see where it goes. I got issue 5 just yesterday in the post, so I'm looking forward to seeing where this is going. I only ordered up to issue 6, so I'll see if I continue reading these. It might be too late to pre-order issue 7. I don't know how that works. But speaking of Spider-Man, some news came out recently that a certain famous writer is returning to Spider-Man. Dan Slott, the man who wrote Spider-Man for about a decade, maybe a little over, is coming back to Spider-Man for some reason. It's going to be the adjectiveless Spider-Man, so it's just called Spider-Man. Apparently it's going to have a little bit of crossover with the Zeb Wells Spider-Man stories. And it's Mark Bagley on art. My primary issue with this is, Dan Slott doing more Spider-Man. What the fuck else is left for him to do? And 2 is that the ink looks terrible. I don't know who the inker on this book is, but the promotional little sneak peek pages and panels that they showed off just look fucking horrendous. Mark Bagley's art, it looks great. what was the most recent thing I can think of was Spider-Man Life Story from a couple of years ago, and that looked fucking fantastic. That looked the same as it ever was. But this just looks bad. I hope... I don't know. I don't plan on reading this, but if I did, or if I was, I hope that they would have... like, that they get a new inker on here. Like, maybe it's just for the first issue or something. Maybe, I don't know. I couldn't find anything online that said who the inker was, at least when I first wrote this down as a note. I don't know if it's been announced or, like, revealed yet who's all working on this book, but I just don't think it looks good. That wraps up the comic book talk. Now we're getting into a lot of movie stuff. And the first is Ghostbusters Afterlife 2, the sequel to the hit requel, I guess that's about right. Ghostbusters Afterlife was announced to be released on December 20th, 2023. So I am excited about that. They're going to apparently be back in New York in this one. They're going to be at the fire station, I guess, the firehouse. Not a whole lot of information has come out about this, but I am excited. I loved Ghostbusters Afterlife. I love Ghostbusters 1, Ghostbusters 2, Ghostbusters 3, the video game. The Ghostbusters from 2016 is fine. It's not the best, but it's pretty dumb. But yeah, I'm very excited about this. Another thing that I'm kind of excited about, but this time I don't know why, is a film called Lisa Frankenstein. Well, actually, I do know why I'm excited. Lisa Frankenstein stars Katherine Newton, who you may recognize from Detective Pikachu. She played the, reporter, I think is who she was. She's also an avid golfer. And Cole Sprouse, half of the Sprouse twins from The Sweet Life of Zack and Cody, more recently on Riverdale, which apparently now has fucking superpowers and, like, what the fuck is going on with Riverdale? Anyway, Lisa Frankenstein. So I have a little, synopsis from Deadline.com, article written by Justin Kroll. And that says... set in 1989, the film follows an unpopular high schooler who accidentally reanimates a handsome Victorian corpse during a lightning storm and starts to rebuild him into the man of her dreams using the broken tanning bed in her garage. So, that's crazy. What the fuck? Apparently, Katherine Newton's going to be an Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania? Sorry, I just saw that in this article. I did not know that. Who's she going to be fucking playing? Oh, is she going to play, like, Scott Lang's daughter? Like, are they going to do some weird time thing? And she time forwards or fast forwards through time, and now she's older and Katherine Newton? Anyway, so it's that's what it's about. It's about Katherine Newton resurrecting, I assume, Cole Sprouse as a Frankenstein guy for her to date or whatever. So already a fun premise off the bat. What really excited me was, one, it's directed by Zelda Williams. If you don't know who Zelda Williams is, that is the daughter of the late Robin Williams. He loved video games, and he really loved Legend of Zelda so much that he named his daughter after her. At least I assume so. I'm pretty sure that's correct. It's been a while since I've read Zelda Williams' Wikipedia page. But the best part about this... that's also going to be Zelda Williams' directorial debut. But the best part is that Diablo Cody is going to be writing it. What is her real name? Brooke Murillo. Yeah, I see why she goes by Diablo Cody. Diablo Cody, most famous for being the screenwriter behind Juno and Jennifer's Body, might be her most well-known films. At least those are the ones that I know of. And those are both really fun films. I love Juno. Jennifer's Body is fine. It's good. It's enjoyable. But it's not my favorite or anything. It's still a fun movie. So that just checked the box and, piqued my interest. So I am looking forward to Lisa Frankenstein, who I think is also the name of a drag queen. More movie announcements. Godzilla Kong 2. Godzilla vs. Kong. What was it called? I never saw it. Oh, I got it popping all my knuckles. I never watched it. I've only seen Godzilla 2014 and Kong Skull Island. I never bothered with the follow-ups. Kong Godzilla 2 is announced for March 15th, 2024. And it's going to see the return of Adam Wingard, who directed the first crossover of the new, franchise. So that's cool if you like that. I don't know. I never really got into that cinematic universe. So yeah, it's cool. Speaking of giant monsters from underneath the ground, Dune Part 2 has been pushed back from October 20th to November 2023. For some reason. So I guess that's about assuming that those are the correct dates. I think it was 2023 originally. Yeah, it got pushed back a month at least, or maybe a year and a month. I'm not too sure. I might have messed up writing that. But yeah, it got pushed back for some reason. Hopefully that means that, it gives them more time to work on it. More movies. This one I'm very excited about. Furiosa, the prequel film starring my celebrity crush, my biggest celebrity crush, Anya Taylor-Joy, there's some set pics that were released or leaked, I guess, showing Chris Hemsworth, who's going to be in this film. And he is he has a big, giant, red, bushy beard, a great big bushy beard. And I think it curls up too, like a fucking pirate. But apparently he, from the very small synopsis on this film that we know of, it's going to be about a leader, or he's going to be leading a biker clan through the wastelands who comes across the Citadel and Immortan Joe. And this causes a clash between the two tyrants. And Furiosa is trapped in the middle and has to survive it. So that's going to be cool. We already know that Chris Hemsworth's character is probably going to die. There is a Mad Max Fury Road prequel comic which details how Immortan Joe found the Citadel, created it and found it and destroyed whoever was already staying there. So, this is sometime way after that, once he's already in control and already known as Immortan Joe. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to this. I love all the Mad Max films. Thunderdome's fine. I do have the video game, but I never got around to fully playing it. So I'm really excited to see this. Again, I love Anya Taylor-Joy. I'll watch anything she's in. Moving on to more Disney Marvel related stuff. Jessica Jones, Disney Plus. Kristen Ritter. She started this off by sharing some Jessica Jones fan art recreation posters that I guess were commissioned by Marvel or something. And it a couple days later it was announced or released that it would be called, there is going to be a Jessica Jones revival, I guess, and it's going to be called AKA Jessica Jones. I really should have fact-checked this more, but these are the notes I'm going off of from about a week or two ago. There is also rumors that Jessica Jones will appear in She-Hulk. Not much there aside from, she just might appear in an episode. There's also the whole thing about Daredevil in the Echo show, I believe, looking for Jessica Jones, trying to track her down for some reason. I hope that her seeming disappearance, that makes more sense, is because she and Luke Cage have a baby. How great would that be if they bring back Mike Coulter? Bring back the guy who played Danny. Just have him appear as the nanny or something. Or he's just hanging out at their house or something. But how cool would that be if they bring back Luke Cage in the MCU, and the reason that Jessica Jones hasn't been doing anything for however many years is because they got back together and had a baby. So I'm looking forward to see how this progresses. I only ever watched the first season of Jessica Jones. I think there were 3 in total. Yeah, I don't know. I didn't have much interest in it after the Purple Man was gone. And then I saw that they had a version of Typhoid Mary that was just fucking awful, and I had no interest in it. Moving on. Speaking of She-Hulk rumors. There is the rumor, possible spoiler alert if you haven't already seen this, so skip ahead, that the Thing of the Fantastic Four is going to appear in it. For some reason. So, yeah, there's the whole Jessica Jones and She-Hulk rumor, and then, which, that sounds plausible enough. And then all the way over here in left field is fucking the Thing. And yes, I know this is my right hand. The Thing of the Fantastic Four, Benjamin Grimm. There are rumors that he is going to appear in the show as a mysterious figure who's not going to be revealed until later in the season. And it's going to be a defamation case that Jen takes. And it's like a defamation against Ben or the Fantastic Four or something. Something happens. Maybe it's not him as the Thing. Maybe it's him as a human. Because the alleged casting is Jason Segel, who I keep picturing Jason Sudeikis every time I see his name. I don't really know what Jason Segel is in. He was in Forgetting Sarah Marshall, which I've never seen. It was in The Muppets from 2011. Yeah, I don't know if I've seen anything he's been in. Oh, he was in Despicable Me as Vector. Who the fuck that is. Yeah, I don't recognize any of these shows. Well, I recognize some of them. I haven't seen any of them. But yeah, that's the alleged casting of Benjamin Grimm in the MCU. That'll be interesting if it actually happens. If it doesn't happen, maybe it's maybe it's a smaller name character, I don't know, Grey Gargoyle. Or who's another just off Fantastic Four character you could introduce just offhandedly? Willie Lumpkin. I don't know. Just the Thing being introduced in She-Hulk just seems like a bit of an out there concept, but I assume this is going to be kind of an out there show, since she will be breaking the fourth wall. But hey, only time will tell. It's coming up at the end of next month. I'm very excited for it. Moving on. Okay. I have Taronga Edgerton, which is my phone for some reason auto-corrected Taron to Taronga, which is a zoo in Australia, I think. I don't know what it means. It's something about beautiful view, maybe, is what it sort of translates to. But that's what my phone auto-corrected it to. Taron Edgerton, who you will recognize from Kingsman the Golden Circle, Rocket Man, that one where he's a gorilla. He recently revealed that he was or is in talks to appear in the MCU, and it was regarding playing Wolverine. I think he would be a great Wolverine if you maybe add some a little, make him look a little older possibly, or I don't know. I can't think of what he looks like offhand. I can think of what he looks like as Elton John, which is pretty fucking close to what I imagine Wolverine looks like. Elton John when he's not all gussied up. Elton John where he has no hair on top and it's all messy and shit, and he's drug-addled. That version of Elton John in Rocket Man. It looks like he could pull off the Wolverine from Wolverine Havoc Meltdown. Is that the comic series? It's a great comic series. It's 4 to 6 issues. Definitely check that out. It's amazing artwork. It makes Wolverine just a fucking short, stocky dude with Popeye forearms and crazy fucking hair, and he just looks gross and like hairy and off-putting. If they went, I want them to go with that version of Wolverine, which is like a mountain man with a shave. A Wolverine who is like just he's an animal. He's more animal than man. Is the Wolverine that I love. But yeah, so that's I don't know how that's gonna play out. I'd hope that they wouldn't introduce Wolverine too soon. But moving on, now we're getting into the DC side of the media entertainment industry. Battle of the Supersons, I think is what it's called, trailer. It's sort of a soft adaptation of Supersons Volume 1 up until the point where Starro shows up instead of Amazo. It is Damian Wayne and Jonathan Kent, Superboy and Robin, and they're teaming up to fight Starro, which, because, yeah, Starro takes over like the Justice League, which now that I'm thinking about it is like the same premise as the Multiversity Teen Justice origin. It's also Starro's the origin of the Justice League, but so that's a little odd synchronicity there. These two teams of young heroes both fighting Starro, a Starro-controlled Justice League at that. I do dig the not Spider-Verse style of animation. It's like that choppy, sort of near cel-shaded animation. It doesn't look as good as the Spider-Verse animation, obviously, but I do dig it. I do like the aesthetic style. It's nice to see DC do something different that isn't just 2D animation. Thank God this is coming out now and not like 5 years ago when they were still in their god-forsaken New 52 animated universe that they finally destroyed. And I'm glad that they're like branching out more with the animation styles. There's those recent the Superman film, the Flash one where he goes to World War II. Those both had fairly distinct and interesting styles that I dug. I don't have much to say about this other than there is a fun little note that Lex Luthor is president in this universe, so that's fun. I don't know when this comes out, but I am definitely looking forward to it. And speaking of... what's the segue I'm going for here? Speaking of Justice League characters who need to be stopped. Sure. The Flash Season 8 finale occurred a couple weeks ago. I never watched The Flash. I haven't watched any of the CW shows. I cannot give less of a shit. But it aired, and I saw the ending, and can somebody in the comments explain to me what the fuck is happening? Because I saw Barry fighting Obert-Wan, Reverse Flash, and they have, like, Infinity Gem powers. Like, it looks like when Thanos is using the Infinity Gauntlet in Avengers. Like, they have all these colorful, like, glowing, like, dust lights coming around them, and, like, they're fucking teleporting around and using all these extra, like, rainbow powers that they have for some reason. And then Barry sits down and he's meditating while Obert-Wan flies himself up into the air, amasses the colorful energy powers like Thanos, and blows up Central City, and then fucking Barry uses the power of meditation to reverse time, reverse the explosion, and somehow send all of those little, like, color powers into Thawne and cause him to implode. What the fuck is going on that show? That's about as crazy as what's going on in Riverdale. But yeah, that was my little brief snippet about The Flash. That's probably the only time you'll ever hear about that show until it finally ends, which I think is this coming... I think it has one more season left. Let's see. Obert-Wan Benobi. Got some little leftovers. I got some leftover Obert. Anybody want some leftover Obert-Wan Benobi? And that is, a couple of weeks ago, some information came out from the original screenwriter, director of the Obi-Wan well, at the time it was going to be, I think, a trilogy of films or one film. And that is makes me glad that we got it as this show, even though, you know, some of it, a couple episodes here and there weren't the best, but I did overall enjoy it. But the information that the original writer from a couple years ago revealed, like on Twitter, is that, ready for this, Commander Cody would have played a role in the scrapped Obi-Wan Kenobi film. Sounds cool. We're kind of seeing him play a role in the Bad Batch Season 2. He'll seemingly be appearing in that, probably trying to hunt down the Bad Batch in some way, or just hunting down Jedi. But that idea is not this idea. This guy's idea for the Obert-Wan Benobi film was that he wanted to have Commander Cody in it, which again makes sense. That's the clone commander who served under Obi-Wan. They had a rapport. Cody was a fucking hard-ass, following the fucking rules kind of clone. He was a pain in the ass to other clones like Rex on occasion, just due to his strictness. Which makes it fucking so insane that the writer wanted Cody to be in the Obi-Wan film as a quote-unquote reformed ally. And this is a quote, another quote. The idea of mine was that Obi-Wan had to leave Tatooine. He left Cody in charge of Luke. What? First of all, what does that mean? Does that mean that he just wanted Cody to, like, watch over him? Because he has Aunt Beru and Uncle Owen. 2. Makes no sense. Just at all. Based on everything we know about the clones and after the Clone Wars. Of course, you know, at this time, it was, you know, before the Disney Plus shows. It was before they brought Clone Wars back. It was, you know, but we still had Rebels. We had, like, Rebels as a basis to go off of, like, what happened to the clones after the Clone Wars and Order 66. And Cody absolutely would not be one of those people who is reformed like that. He's going to be serving the Empire until he either dies or gets decommissioned. Which I expect one or the other might happen in Bad Batch Season 2. I hope Commander Cody, never reforms. Because that's like my problem that I have a lot with Star Wars stuff. Is that villains can never stay villainous unless they're a fucking just devilish Sith Lord, or that's about it. They did it in Obert-Wan with the third sister. They did it, they did it a bunch of times in Clone Wars. Like, the only time I feel, they did it with Kylo Ren. The only time I feel it has ever worked in Star Wars for the villain to come back from the darkness, in essence, was Darth Vader. And if you're just fucking having everybody do it, that's just obnoxious. In the real world, no one's gonna do that. Maybe some will change, but more won't. And it just becomes annoying where every fucking time there is a new character. Darth Maul did it. Darth Maul, he kind of did it. He was still pretty villainous to the end. But he sort of, like, you know, he renounced Sidious and whatever, and he tried to do his own thing. It becomes annoying when every time a new property from Star Wars comes out and they have a villain, they always want to turn the villain into a good guy. And I hate that so much. And, yeah, that's the end of Obert-Wan Benobi news until they announce a Season 2. Paper Girls. The Paper Girls trailer. I'm so excited if you couldn't tell from my giant smile. Paper Girls by Brian K. Vaughan, and I can't remember the artist's name, but they do an amazing job. Is such a fucking great series. It is just non-stop great story. You can, like, I had to stop myself from reading it. Like, I usually read comics before I go to bed, And when I was first reading this series, I had to stop myself. Like, I had to like make myself stop reading just because the story is just so, I'm blanking completely on the word I'm looking for. Not enticing, not invigorating, enthralling. It's just such an enthralling, fun story with great characters and such interesting, crazy concepts that you just want to keep reading. Like, I read the first volume, which is like 6 issues, in maybe 2 days, which it usually doesn't take me that, or usually takes me a little longer than that. But, like, I just got through that fucking thing, and it is so fucking good. I absolutely love Paper Girls. Definitely check it out before the show comes out. And the Paper Girls trailer looks like a lot of fun. They do change, seemingly, they are changing a lot. That being the fact that when Erin, is that the main girl's name? They travel through time and they find adult her. And I think that happens either at the end of, I think it's at the end of the first volume, the first trade paperback. It's been a while since I have read them. I think it's at the end of the first, like, yeah, the end of the first volume is when it's like, oh my god, they're in the future. Kind of. So it seems like they're going to be rushing through that just so they can have adult Erin take more of a prominence in the series. Like, they're going to amalgamate the first, like, maybe first volume and second volume into one, which I'm a bit disappointed by because my favorite, the first one, I've only read them as trade paperbacks. My favorite volume is the first one, just because that's, you know, that's the introduction of everything. You get to see them learn about it. It's just, it isn't getting bogged down with all these extra characters. It has, like, the time-traveling boys and the weird, like, the timekeeper god guy who I just read with the voice of Taika Waititi, or, like, you know, New Zealander. And it's the girls. It's the 4 girls. And that's basically it. But once it starts continuing, you know, they start adding a little more people here and there. But I was hoping that the first season would just be, like, sort of as straight of an adaptation as you could do of that first initial series. And then, you know, once the second season comes, like, it ends on the, you know, it ends like the comic does with the, like, the cliffhanger, like, oh my god, they got sent to the future. But regardless, I am fucking excited about this show. Comes out July 29th. I cannot wait. It's going to be on Amazon Prime. Check it out. Okay, now we get into stuff that I've been watching. Only Murders in the Building. I'm not going to talk a whole lot about this, just because I don't really have much to say. But I am digging it. I think it's the first 3 episodes are out now. Yeah, I haven't seen the third one yet. Need to watch that. But it's a great show. I absolutely adored the first season. Steve Martin, Martin Short are fantastic. It's insane the amount of physical comedy that Steve Martin does, because he's in his mid-70s. Like, that whole part of the first season where he's, like, drugged and slowly being paralyzed, and he's trying to fucking escape through the hallway, through the elevator. It's insane that he's able to pull what he does off at his age. I need to look it up. Steve Martin, yeah, he's 76 years old. And Martin Short is 72. They have such energy. And it's funny because Selena Gomez doesn't. Her character is not energetic at all. Like, she's very, you know, if you've watched the show, you know, she's very, like, monotone and very dry as a person. But Steve Martin and Martin Short just are such a fucking great duo. I absolutely adore them. I don't like to try and solve mystery shows or movies like this. Like, if I notice something while I'm watching it, then I'll be like, oh, maybe it's this person, maybe it's that person, but whatever. I won't, like, go out of my way to try and figure it out, like, look for the clues and shit. So I don't have any ideas on who the killer is. this season. So, if you have any ideas, any theories, if you have been watching it, comment below, let me know. But I'm so glad this show is back. I love it. I love the theme song. It's brilliant. It's such a... When we first watched it, because I forgot it came out, and then we were looking for something to watch while we were having lunch, and I was like, oh my god, it's Only Murders in the Building Season 2 is out. And so we started watching it, and as soon as that theme came on, it was just like a coating, a nice caramel coating of joy and intrigue just came over me, and I was just so happy to have it back. It is a fantastic show. Amy Schumer is in it, which is like my main, is the main thing I've seen a lot of people complain about. I think she's fine. I don't have a problem with her. I liked Amy Schumer. I like her well enough. I liked her more when she was primarily just a stand-up comic or a comedian. And then I fell out of being interested in her when she, started getting bigger and started doing more movies and TV shows and shit. Her Inside Amy Schumer show, that was fun enough. But, that was like with more writers on it. But, yeah, I don't have a problem with Amy Schumer for the most part. I never really have had, like, I don't know, I'm repeating myself. But I think she's fine in here. I did laugh quite a lot at her, just, the way she speaks her lines and just, like, the weird fictional version of herself that she's portraying. Disappointment that they couldn't get Sting back. But, it's Sting. What is he really going to do? I feel like Amy Schumer has a little more, relevance to the story in a way, just because she is a more contemporary, famous person. But, yeah, I don't have any issues with this show, really. I think it's been pretty fucking great so far. And, my one thing is... Well, it's not an issue, it's more of a concern. So, spoiler alert, Mabel is bisexual, seemingly, because she kisses and makes out with Cara Delevingne, who is another person people don't like, I guess, for some reason. I don't know why. I think she's fine. But I just, I don't want it to be the case of, there's this, gay or bisexual character that's introduced, and their whole purpose is to be a sort of foil to burrow themselves into the life of the main character, and then rip them up and, betray them in some way, which is what I feel like it was kind of doing when she was introduced. And... I hope that's not the case, but at this point, it just sort of, that storyline with, the art exhibit and all that shit, I just don't care about it. I'm not interested in that at all. Although I was very interested in them kissing. But yeah, Only Murders in the Building. Definitely a great show. On to the boys. So as I missed a week, I now have 2 episodes to talk about, but... Now that I'm doing that, I thought it over, that doesn't seem like much sense. Just because a lot of what I talk about is, when I go over each episode, is what I think is going to happen, where I think it's going, so that doesn't really work here. So I'll just, try and organize this however I can. Episode 7 of The Boys was fantastic. I loved seeing the Black Noir flashbacks. It was fun that he is the black sheep of the Payback team. Let's see. How does Huey's teleportation work? I don't understand how those the Temp V had it doesn't need to be explained, but it would be fun if they tried to explain it. How the fuck does the Compound V work? How does it give people powers? Is it a random thing? With Homelander, it's not, because he was genetically engineered. But, with everybody else, is it just random? Is it... I was talking to a friend about this, and he was like, oh my god, what if, it's a good thing that you have to inject Compound V, or else somebody could, pour it in the water supply. And I was like, oh my god, The Boys is a prequel to My Hero Academia. Like, because it seems very similar to that if it is completely random. In My Hero Academia, it's just like, oh yeah, this person has a toaster for a head, and she can fire her fingernails off of her fingers like bullets. Like, it's weird fucking shit like that. And that's seemingly the same sort of world that The Boys is inhabiting. There's the whole Soldier Boy being Homelander's quote-unquote father. And that goes into episode 8. Also, I just want to say I love Jensen Ackles as Soldier Boy this season. My favorite thing about him, aside from just how shitty of a guy he is, I love the voice that he has, that he uses for Soldier Boy. Like that gruff, what the fuck are you talking about? Sort of like that husky, gruff voice. It's very fitting of that character. It's a great casting. Episode 8, I guess I'll talk more about that. It was interesting that something fun, I guess I noted, is that, when we first see Ryan, he is wearing the Homelander colors, red, white, and blue, on his shirt. And another fun thing is that Maeve, when we are first introduced to her, is crashing into an armored truck and stopping, like, bank robbers or something in the first episode, and now in this last episode she is again fighting people in an armored truck. Butcher leaving Huey at the gas station, it shows that he does have some empathy and feelings in some way or another, but I'm gonna save some stuff. Maeve's accent when she says Homelander needs to die after she throws the stuff out of the window. Like, you hear, I can't remember if she's Irish or Scottish, the actor, but you hear it, like, it just comes through for some reason. And I don't know why they kept that in. I believe, if I remember correctly, I read somewhere that she was quarantined to whatever country she was in at that time. Just due to COVID restrictions and travel, which is why Maeve was like probably barely in this season. And when she wasn't really interacting with that many other people, just because, the actor couldn't get to set. So maybe that had something to do with it. And it was like, they just couldn't bother doing it again. But I don't get that. What they should have done is they should have had her, like, her accent loosens up and she uses that accent. And then at the end of the episode, when she's talking to Starlight in her apartment with the girlfriend, she should have just, like, been Irish or been Scottish or whatever nationality she is. Like, she's been putting on this fake American accent and persona this whole time, and she's actually a foreigner. That would have made sense, but it's never brought up, so I don't know what's going on with that. Yeah, okay, a lot of this other stuff is, like, the big parts of the episode. So I'm sure a lot of people do, I don't, like, this season didn't have any, people are like, nothing happened this season, what was the point, blah, blah, blah. Plenty happened, a lot happened. Homelander has Ryan. Butcher is, he completely lost faith in his group, or his group lost faith in him, which seems to happen like every season. What else? The boys are finally fucking formed, and we're slowly getting I thought it would be this season that we have the comic accurate boys group, but no, it's gonna be in season 4. And they have the Flatiron building, so there's that. Starlight's now part of the boys. Fucking the 7 are now the 3. What other big Butcher has 12 to 18 months to live. So, there's some big fucking shit going on. And that thing with Butcher only having a certain time to live, that makes me wonder how they're going to continue these seasons, how many seasons there's going to be. Because if they stick with if they go the Breaking Bad route of having this character die at the very end, which is what happens in the comics, then they're going to have to really start lessening the time between seasons. Because, like, there's some pretty big time skips between 1, 2, and 3. And if Butcher only has like a year and a half to live, then they're going to have to figure out a way to just make these consecutively. Unless, they just reworks, they do something to fucking heal him. They give him real Compound V, and that counteracts the temp Compound V or something. So it's going to be interesting to see how they play that off next season, which comes out in like fucking a year or two, I think. My biggest fucking problems with this episode was, one, Black Noir's death. It's just such an unceremonious, dumb killing that it was just upsetting. Anthony Starr does a fucking fantastic job. You see, like, he doesn't want to do this, but he's just so fucking angry that Black Noir lied to him, that he does it anyway. Fucking, it just pissed me off that Black Noir got nothing to do in this show, aside from, like, that one scene in season 2, like, the opening where he fucking assaults that compound. That's about it. He gets some cool comic relief, but not a whole lot else going on. And I don't know. I hope that they bring him back. I hope they bring Black Noir back. Because, he fucking survived getting his goddamn head cracked open like an egg and getting his brain partially destroyed. Well, who's to say he can't survive getting his intestines ripped out a little bit? My other big issue was that Soldier Boy led to nothing. Soldier Boy just led nowhere. He was the only one to make wise decisions regarding Homelander. And you know what? Fuck Ryan. Fuck Homelander. Fuck Butcher. Fuck them all. Just destroy all of them, Soldier Boy. Goddamn. He's the only one who, like, kept a cool head and was like, this is what needs to be done. This is what you fucking told me to do and we agreed to do. So I'm gonna fucking kill this guy and this dumbass kid. And this is happening moments after we had a scene where Butcher tells Soldier Boy that he and Homelander aren't really family. There's no real relation there. It's just semen that was put into a cup. And fucking then a couple minutes later, Butcher's like, oh my god, you can't kill that kid. I promised me dead wife that I'd protect him, even though he's a fucking terrible piece of shit. Like, he just completely, it was so annoying. And then the fight at the very end of the episode was just boring and anticlimactic. I thought it would be like some big brawl happening, like in the penthouse suite of fucking Vought Tower or wherever they were. But it's just back to the fucking same bullshit. Hey, everybody, split up and go fight in different rooms. Like, goddamn, it was just so fucking obnoxiously boring. It was annoying that part of me knew that, like, they weren't going to kill Homelander. But there's another part of me that really wanted to see Homelander just at least get on the brink of death before he just, does something that, like, something else happens. And, Soldier Boy, that whole build-up, like I said, it just led nowhere. Because now it's just back to fucking square one again. It's starting to remind me a little bit of The Walking Dead. The Walking Dead, after each season of that show, a big issue that I had with it was that each season would start with the group of survivors. They're somewhere. They find a safe place. There's zombies there. Oh no, but we defend it. Oh my god, there's humans here. Oh my god, zombies and humans are attacking our safe place. Let's leave. Go back to the beginning. It's like a little wind-up car. Survivors, escape. Find a safe place. Zombies, humans, escape. Survivors, find a safe place. Zombies, humans, escape. It's just the same fucking thing over again, over and over, and that's what's happening to the boys. Every season has ended with Butcher fighting Homelander, and then them just both deciding not to continue, and then the boys continue doing their shit, and Homelander continues doing his shit. And I want them to just do something different. I don't like that Maeve survived. I kind of wish she would have actually died, but whatever. Who cares? It didn't feel like there were many stakes, really, in the end of it. And, the stakes of Butcher having an estimated time to live, that's there, but I'm not getting my hopes up that they stick to it. Now, speaking of something else where they don't stick to the fucking stakes, that is Stranger Things Volume 2, or Stranger Things Season 4 Volume 2. It's alright. It's fucking boring. I was really into this season, which I don't know why, because I haven't really cared for any of the other seasons aside from the first one. But they tricked me. They tricked me into thinking that interesting and events would play out and that there would be serious consequences and stakes for these characters. And there wasn't. I have a lot of notes on here. I'll try and talk about the ones I remember. The fucking Russian storyline continues to be absolutely nothing. There's the whole 4 deaths of the apocalypse with Vecna and everything. Will is gay. Halloween. Oh, yeah. I was like, what is this referencing? When, something I did enjoy of the first episode of the second part of Season 4 is that when Eddie is wearing the Michael Myers mask that, what's Sadie Sink's character's name? What's the redhead? What is her name? Max. When he's wearing her Halloween costume or Michael Myers costume, there's like an off-brand Halloween, like, instrumental synth theme playing, and they also do a one long shot following them, reminiscent of the Halloween film. 11 at the base was just alright. I don't really care either. That's something that I noticed with this, is that as the season progressed, I lost more and more interest. The first maybe 3 episodes, I was into it. I was into the whole creepy Vecna, shadowy guy with the big Freddy Krueger claw killing people and paralyzing them or whatever. I was into that mystery part of it. I was into most of the storyline. Not really. I was into the California storyline and the Hawkins storyline. But then it just kept going down. There's Nancy and her boomstick, which she uses to varying effect. Another Halloween reference, or like, illusion, is that when Vecna gets blasted out of this, like, the attic window, the garret window, his body's gone when they go to look for it, which that's what happens at the end of Halloween. I'm just going to go down this list just because it's annoying. So, during that scene where Jack Sullivan, which is apparently the black military leader's name who's hunting down 11, when they assault that secret base, it's literally the assault from Episode 4, Star Wars A New Hope, on the Tantive 4, when the stormtroopers are assaulting the ship. It's like, there's even a scene where, like, it cuts back and forth between this one soldier who's staring at the door, like, waiting for it to get burst down. Or busted down. Also, why were there only, like, 10 military police on that whole fucking base? What the hell? That's the issue I have. And then the other issue is that the escape hatch is, like, 20 feet from the door? So everybody just gets fucking gunned down, including Dr. Brenner, who is just shot and killed in the middle of the desert. I didn't have any interest in that character, but that just seems like such a pitiful death that it just seems so dumb. It worked in Breaking Bad, it doesn't work here. I also think that they should have had Brenner die in a position of a 4 o'clock. So, he could have had his arms like this or something. For the 4 deaths and the clock, Vecna illusions. Or like, Mr. Burns in Who Shot Mr. Burns when he falls onto the sundial. Yeah, so Brenner's done. Argyle and the Surfer Boy Pizza. Fucking love him. I love that guy. Eduardo Franco. I watched Booksmart this past weekend, and he is in that as well, and that is a fucking fantastic movie. I'm ashamed to not have even seen it sooner. He's great in that. I was wondering if the voice that he has in this show is his real voice or a put on, like, oh, hey man, what's up? Oh yeah, my name's Argyle. That sort of thing, where like the teeth come forward in the jaw. But no, that's just sort of what he sounds like. Also, I dig him because he and I are from the same town. So that's cool. He's one of the few famous people to come out of my town. The pineapple pizza, delicious. Pineapple pizza is fucking awesome. And I will fist fight anybody who says otherwise. Let's see what happens. There's the whole Max using Max as bait, and like Vecna seems sort of hurt by that when Max, like, it's revealed like, oh yeah, I lied to you, I don't really want you to kill me. Like, Vecna seems like upset that she lied to him. There's the 11ception scene during this where she gets into the pizza fridge thing that they make as like a isolation sensory deprivation tank. So like, how does it work? 11ception. So she goes into Max's mind, and from Max's mind she goes into Vecna's mind, and I think that's how it works. And yeah, that was the I don't really care. The Master of Puppets scene with Eddie was fucking awesome. I really dug that. Didn't dig Jason and the Psychopaths. I'm glad that he got torn in half. Also, who the fuck tackles a little girl? I definitely feel like there was some racial tension going on behind that. But yeah, that was just fucking insane when he showed up and he and Lucas were fighting. The floor is tentacles, is my next note, making reference to the Netflix show The Floor is Lava. Steve, Robin, and Nancy were completely useless. What did they do in this show? They were useless for like half of this episode. They're useless for like 95% of this episode. All they did was light Vecna on fire in the slowest possible way, and then shoot him a couple times out of a fucking window. I liked seeing that Vecna. I liked his, like, his somewhat transformation when he's in the weird Precambrian upside down. He created the Mind Flare, but he didn't create the upside down, or he did. Like, I guess he created the version of the upside down that has Hawkins? Which, I wonder, how far does that expand in the upside down? Is it like Hawkins County? Is it the whole world that he recreated as a weird upside down thing? I bet it's probably not. I imagine it's just Hawkins. Maybe like outside of Hawkins he has some sort of gross root tentacle castle or something that he's escaped to. But the interesting thing about that flashback is that the Demogorgons were already in existence. So what's the deal with those guys? And where'd those bats come from? Did Vecna create those as well? Another thing about Vecna is that his gangly body just doesn't work for me. It looks like he has a beer gut. And he just doesn't look imposing from when you see him from the neck down. Like, if he was just like this the whole time, like you could only see him from the shoulders up and he had his big claw hand in frame, hey, that'd be cool. But whenever his full body is shown, he just looks silly. Especially when he walks. They should have... Maybe if he floated, that would have been cooler. That would have been more inhuman if he hovered everywhere instead. Like, I don't even need to walk here. Why would I bother telling my brain to move my feet to walk? when I can float? I'm in the mind. I can do anything here. I'm a god. So I'm just going to float everywhere. Or maybe if they made his body less human and more abstract. Think like the faun from Pan's Labyrinth. Something like that, maybe? Like, keep his face and, like, you know, some of his torso fairly human, and then just get weird with the legs. Yeah, I didn't care for Vecna's design, really. It looks like a guy in a suit, which I didn't really care for. It just looked weird. Another thing that looked weird and was dumb was Eddie's death. Worthless. Pointless. Worthless. Why? Why the fuck would they do that? It's pissing me off that every goddamn season the Duffer Brothers want to kill characters off and have it be of some substantial, like, where am I going with this? They want it to have some sort of substance and some substantial ramifications of characters dying, but they don't want to endanger the little babies of the main characters. They would never do that. That's why they introduce all these new characters for the first time, and then these characters we've never seen before, and then they just go and kill them. And the one character that they should have killed and could have killed, Max, they fucking paralyze her and make her blind. So now she has just been totally crippled, is in a coma, is seemingly brain dead, but she's not really dead, so she can come back. Jesus fucking Christ. Just have some balls to kill off some goddamn actual characters. They should have killed off Hopper. I don't know why. After they fucking revealed that Hopper wasn't dead nearly immediately, I don't know why I ever put any care into this show again. Eddie's death was pointless. He was such a great character that could have melded and meshed together with the rest of the crew. Especially if fucking Hawkins wasn't destroyed at the end. They could have done something to, like, the government covered it up or whatever. But even now that Hawkins is fucking destroyed, nobody's gonna fucking stick around, and now Eddie is fucking... They're like, oh yeah, this devil worshipper, Eddie Munson, caused the ground to erupt in hellflame. Like, they should have just kept him on the cast, because he was such a fucking great character. He was the best character of this season. His death did make me cry, or at least tear up, but the part that made me full-on cry was when Dustin meets Eddie's uncle at the high school gymnasium, and his uncle comes up and he's putting up the new missing person flyer after people deface the other one. That whole scene, I was just crying. I'm starting to tear up now. It's so fucking sad, and it was just such a fucking waste of a character. Yeah, they, like I said, they should have just killed Max. I really did think that 11 was going to, like, force heal her or something like Rey does in Star Wars. And yeah, just that whole ending was stupid. I just didn't enjoy it. There's, like, the whole thing where all the characters finally meet up, and the fucking, like, when 11 shows up and they're like, oh, you don't know what happened to Max. They keep saying, like, oh, you weren't there, you don't understand, we have to tell you later. She was in her fucking mind the whole time. She knows what happened. She was there when Vecna was killing her. But everybody acts like 11 just showed up out of nowhere. And, like, 11 never tries to correct them. Nobody's like, oh yeah, I was there, I was fighting in their mind. I was unable to save them. But yeah, all this season boiled down to was 3 home invaders murdering a geriatric old man in his attic. And now I was kind of right. In my, a couple episodes ago, I made the theory that this season was going to end with an apocalypse in the real world. And it kind of has. It's there's the fucking giant storm upside down clouds in real life, and the ground is torn apart, and Vecna is coming to the earth. So in a way, I did get that correct. I did properly guess that was how it was going to end. Yeah, now we gotta wait for Season 4 in like 2 fucking years. Season 4 is set completely in Hawkins as per the Duffer brothers. And it, depending on how far the time skip is, it might take place in the 90s. But I bet it won't. I bet it'll be like 89 at most. But yeah, that makes me wonder how they're going to play off this fucking ending, because it ends on a cliffhanger, but then they've announced that there's going to be a big time skip in Season 4, so is there going to be some sort of time travel? Are they going to time travel using the Upside Down or some fucking telepathy or whatever? Or is it going to be like, oh yeah, the show it intercuts between the past and present of what happened? God only knows. Who knows? Alright, on to Miss Marvel. Miss Marvel episodes 4 and 5. I'm just going to cover them both because I want to get this episode finished and uploaded and everything. Episode 4 and 5 have been the least interest I have had in this show. Episode 4 was about when they go to Karachi in Pakistan. It was fine. I enjoyed Kamala experiencing the city and, like, you know, with her cousins and everything. I like that she can't handle spicy foods. And then there's the whole Red Daggers thing, and the clandestines showed up. I did not expect this episode to happen or last this long in Karachi, but it did. So now, yeah, I don't... And this is the last episode that comes out this week. So fuck. I feel like these last 2 episodes were kind of a waste, because we don't really get a whole lot. We learned from about the Red Daggers. There's all that stuff. That's all right. I didn't care about that. I was very bored during that episode 4. The knockoff Eternals do their little breakout. There's a chase scene, which was fun, and then the fight scene with Kamala and the clandestine and Red Dagger, which was really weirdly edited. And then the show ends with Kamala going back to the future. Or no, back to the past, where she has to go back to the future. And, yeah, she's the stars that led her grandmother to the train, which I correctly guessed right here. And, yeah, it seemed pretty obvious that's where they were going with this. Episode 5, I like the history of India and Pakistan. Seeing the partition and everything, seeing, you know, people's farms being burned as they're driven off out of the land, out of the country. But I just did not care about the great-grandparents storyline. We already knew where these fucking characters were going. We already knew how this was going to happen. I just feel like it took over half of the episode. And I just did not care. I want to see Kamala. I wanted more Kamala Khan, and this, like, fucking Back to the Future scenario where Kamala is the reason that her grandmother escapes onto the train is just a complete paradox, because if Kamala doesn't help her grandmother get on the train, then her grandmother doesn't get on the train with the bangle, which means that the bangle is never passed down to her family, which means that Kamala doesn't get it in the present to go back to the past, which means that her grandmother never gets on the train, and so on and so forth. Yeah, the grandparents, I just didn't think they had that much personality to really have any interest. They just felt like chess pieces. They felt like a way for the writing to get from point A to point B, in that, oh, we need to just get them on the train. They just got to get to this train station. And we got to show that, oh, Kamala's great-grandmother is a clandestine angel, other dimensional entity. Yeah, I really was disappointed by these 2 episodes. I said it when the show, like, go back and watch when the show first came out. I was fucking so excited. I was in love with this show. But these 2 episodes were just such a low point. And it's coming off like the trope that has become of the Disney Plus series, which I have not really experienced that much as everybody else complains about it, is that the finales don't hold up. I haven't had any issue with any of the finales thus far. Aside from maybe like What Is, or from What If. But I feel like this could have been these 2 episodes could have been maybe 1 episode. Like, it starts off with like Kamala's great grandparents, and then it goes to them going to Karachi, and then there's the Red Dagger stuff, and it intercuts with the flashbacks, and then the 5th episode would start off with Kamala back in the past at the train station. Because I found it so much more enjoyable, far more enjoyable, seeing Kamala interact with the community that she was born into, not her ancestral community that she shares heritage with. And that brings me to an interesting point that I saw people pointing out, at least one person, which is, why do these characters, who are usually, if not always, not white, to become the heroes that they were meant to be, they always have to do some sort of soul searching in their home country, or like their ancestral country? The examples that the person pointed out were Awkwafina in Shang-Chi. She is a layabout who's lazy and whatever else, and she finds her true calling and who she truly is. She becomes herself when she goes to a mystical land in Asia. Fucking who else was it? Fuck, I am blanking completely. I think the other character, which was to a lesser extent this problem, was, I can't remember her name, the love interest, the woman from Moon Knight, which, you know, she still does go back to, like, you know, her quote-unquote, you know, her home country, her ancestral country. She goes into a fucking pyramid and gets powers. And then 3, Kamala. It's like, you know, she fucking has to go to Pakistan to become a hero. She has to travel back to her homeland, in essence. Whereas, like, to become the hero. Whereas a character like, say, Spider-Man, he doesn't have to go to fucking Scotland to become Spider-Man. He just has it happen in his house. So why, like, I understand that it's the point of showing and detailing what are often, you know, minority representation in this sort of mainstream storytelling. I get it from that point, but they could have done that in a lesser way, that it's like we gotta go to Karachi. It's whiplash. It's like whiplash, because it's a very, you know, tightrope, balance both out. Like, okay, well, I want to show like the heritage and everything of this culture that I'm a part of and that the character's a part of, but it's also like make them their own person, make them not like strictly adherent to the fact that she is Pakistani as her whole defining characteristic and contribution to her becoming a superhero. Which is why I preferred seeing the situations that she is in every day, and how she deals with, like, the goings-ons at her mosque with her friend, whose name I can't remember. Bruno, and that, like, you know, Bruno is an outsider. He's just a white kid from America who has, you know, is ingratiated himself with Kamala's family, and, like, you know, takes part in like the Pakistani, like, community gatherings and everything like that. I much preferred seeing that, because it's more in line with what she would be facing. She's not going to be in Karachi every day. She's not going to be hanging out with goddamn Red Dagger every day, hopefully. Because I didn't really care for that character. He's fine. It just wasn't interesting. Yeah, so that's my main issue with this show, was these last 2 episodes. I wanted to see more about Kamala's friend being, or trying to get elected, or being elected to be on the like community board or the council or whatever, the community council, whatever it is that the mosque has that she was running for in the election. I wanted to see more about that. I wanted to see like the workings of, like, there's the whole scene where like the cops just show up without a warrant or anything and start questioning them and saying like, yeah, we need to talk to so-and-so. Do you know anything about this, buddy? Like, I wanted to see more of that, more like real world everyday problems that Kamala would have to face in the fantastical element. Whereas these last 2 ones, there was the real world events of like the partition, but other than that, it was just magical alien dimensional people who may or may not be dead when they entered that portal that just closed, and fucking a secret assassins guild, essentially. So yeah, these last 2 were disappointments. Thankfully, I guess the last episode, they're gonna go back to America. She's gonna fight Kamran, and Bruno's gonna be there, and Department of Damage Control is probably gonna show up. And then, if the rumors are correct, spoiler alert, Kamala is going to get like recruited in some form or fashion by Monica Rambeau, or maybe Captain Marvel herself. Maybe Brie Larson cameos in this last episode. I don't know. I haven't watched it yet. But yeah, I'm just disappointed by those last 2 episodes. They were, like I said, they were fine. I love Iman Vellani. She's a fucking fantastic cast, fantastically casted as Kamala. But yeah, I hope that episode 6, stands out. And my final thought on Kamala Khan, Miss Marvel, before I get into the last topic of today, is how the fuck is she going to get her super suit? Because we've seen it in all the promotional photos. She has sort of wearing a proto version of that while she's been in Karachi. But how the fuck is she going to get that suit? I was talking to somebody about it, and they're like, oh, well, maybe her like mom makes it for her, since her mom made that Hulk costume. But the suit in the promos, what kind of fucking material are you buying that you can make that at home? It's like, it's gonna fucking be something like in Daredevil, where, oh, there's a siren going by. It's gonna be something like in Daredevil, where it won't show up until like the last episode. Well, obviously it's not going to show up until the last episode, but like one of the last scenes, it's going to be like, oh, hey, Kamala Khan, I'm Captain Marvel, I'm Monica Rambeau. We at Sword or whatever have been watching you and, fucking watching you do this heroic work. I want you to join us. Here is this suit. And it's the suit. And then Kamala tries it on. And she's like, it's missing something. And then she puts on the domino mask. And she puts on the red sash. And then I don't know what that was. I was going to start doing the Avengers theme song, but I didn't know why. So I just started doing weird drums. Speaking of drums, the music selection, like on all the credits of these episodes, have been incredible. I'm really digging the music. But that ends it for Miss Marvel. Join me next week when I discuss the finale. And now we're on to the big one, Thor: Love and Thunder. We're getting pretty late here. It's about an hour and a half into the podcast at this point. So I'll try and hurry up and talk through this. I'll just go, I say this every time I try to recap stuff quickly. I'll just go down the bullet points. Thor: Love and Thunder is a quick, non-stop action comedy about everybody's favorite mythological deity, Thor Odinson. It's fine. It wasn't the best. It wasn't the worst. It was fun. It was very enjoyable. It was just very rushed. The story was just so fast. I thought there would be more of Thor being like lost in the universe and like being unable to find himself and to find a purpose anymore. But instead, we got a scene of that, and then people telling me that Thor is lost in the universe and unable to find a purpose anymore. Gore, just as boring as he is in the comics. I don't give a shit. I'm glad they used him and got rid of him, so I won't have to see him again. Something I just realized is that what happened to the the Necro Sword got destroyed. Never mind. I was like, we never saw what happened to the Necro Sword. Maybe they'll bring that back. I hope not. But yeah, no, it got fucking smashed. No Beta Ray Bill. Biggest disappointment of the film was that no Beta Ray Bill. I was really hoping he would show up. But alas, my heart still has a Beta Ray Bill shaped hole in it. The goats, depending on... Fuck, what is on my nose? The two goats, depending on where you read from, they'll have different names. Snarler and Grinder, or Tooth Gnasher, Tooth Gnawer, I think is what they're called in the MC or in the comics. Walt Simonson introduced them because he is... Sorry, I was cracking my knuckles again. Walt Simonson introduced them in his Thor run, which is incredible. Check that out. So that was cool to see them, but they got really fucking old really fucking fast. The whole goat screaming, I never found funny. I never got it. I never liked it. I never got why people liked it. So when they were screaming off screen, I was like, "Ooh, is it Beta Ray Bill?" And then they brought out the goats, and I was like, "Oh, hey, it's the goats." I was hoping that they would be like a Norse thing, an Asgard thing, but that's fine, I guess. I'm disappointed that they never killed and ate them, and then for Thor to put their bones all back together and have the goat grow itself back. That was a disappointment. Gore, again, it's a weird characterization. He's the ultimate atheist. But he reminded me of Voldemort when he got weird in the movies, where he's like, like that. Which is funny because the whole reason I think that they didn't go with his traditional comic design was that he looks like Voldemort. He does come across as somebody who is utterly insane, though. There's barely any Sif, another big problem I have. I was so excited when Sif was going to return in this film, and then she fucking shows up in her comic-accurate costume, which looks perfect. And I fucking love Jamie Alexander. And then she just fucking shows up. She got her goddamn right arm or left arm cut off, like Thor. Maybe she'll get a destroyer arm in the next one. Fucking, why did Gore not kill her? I guess because he was focusing on the god of the frontier, that big one. I guess that's why. Yeah, there's barely any Sif. I kept hoping she would come back after she gets taken to the infirmary. But no, she just shows up at the very end montage with like a metal thing across her stump, training Heimdall's son. And Heimdall's son, I know everybody's fucking making fun of his floating head. I didn't have a problem with it. I thought it looked cool. It was weird, though, that since, we haven't, I don't think we've seen Heimdall or any other Asgardian characters really use magic like that, or, use, the talking face floating in nothing before. I thought it looked cool. I liked that character. I liked that Thor fought a militant atheist with an army of children. The best joke of the film is when they're at Omnipotent City. Is that what it is? Omnipotent City? Omnipotent City. Is that right? I think that's right. Is that the Cronin god, when Korg is like, "Oh, hey, there's my god." That was a terrible accent. "Oh, hey, man. Oh, hey, there's my god over there. It's the Croning God. It's just a Cronin sitting on a throne made of scissors. That's such a fucking great joke. I really enjoyed that. I liked learning about Korg's species, like how apparently males are the ones that reproduce, even though Korg does talk about having a mom, so I guess it's the males that reproduce, and then afterward there's like, you know, or maybe it's like there's two dads, but one of them's a mom, you know, something like that. Who cares? He met Dwayne, get it? And now Korg's gonna have a little baby next time he shows up. The Shadow Realm fight was cool. I liked that. It's almost like a Trip to the Moon, which is a it's early 1900s, early 20th century, 1900. It's been so long since I've watched it, I cannot remember. Yeah, it is 1902. I was thinking either 1912 or 1902. Trip to the Moon by I don't know how to pronounce his name really. Georges Méliès, I believe, is correct. It's the one where the ship rocket goes into the moon's eye. That is what it reminded me of when they cross through that portal and it looks like this far off distant planet and the fucking ship just crashes right into it. But yeah, that Shadow Realm fight was cool. When it began, it reminded me of like a Kurosawa samurai film or something. And the frame rate, that was like an odd choice, was to have it at that jagged, staggered frame rate during the fight. But overall, I did like that. That was very neat. It was fun seeing like all of them bouncing back around between these giant monsters and everything. In the hall that Gore enters to enter Eternity was really awesome to see. I would hope that it would move around, but it just sort of sat there in like what is that, like meditation lotus position or whatever, in like the water. That was just such a great visual. I'm glad we got Eternity in the MCU. Kind of disappointed that it wasn't in a Doctor Strange movie, though. But anyway, in that hall, there are statues on either sides, big head busts of various influential cosmic entities. But I saw Lady Death, Uatu the Watcher, the Living Tribunal. Again, Living Tribunal just keeps fucking showing up. There's a statue of them in Loki. They showed up in Multiverse of Madness. They're in this. And then, of course, the Celestial. Love, I cannot believe that Gore's daughter was named Love. I guess that makes sense because Gore is a word and love is also a word, but Gore isn't spelled Gore. So I feel like love should have been spelled in some sort of different, sort of alienish way. But Love, played by Chris Hemsworth's daughter, I thought she was going to be Angela. Angela, if you're unaware, was a Spawn character created by Neil Gaiman, who is like a barbarian angel woman, who, after extensive lawsuits, Neil Gaiman won the rights back to, and then promptly sold to Marvel. And then Marvel in the comics made Angela Thor's like long-lost sister or something. So I kept expecting them to finally say, like, Thor to ask her name and her to be like, I'm Angela. But no, her name is just Love. And finally, I get to Jane Foster. I really dug Natalie Portman in this film. I wish we could have got to see her interact a little more with Kat Dennings and Eric Selvig. I wish we also could have seen those two, like, at that ending montage. Maybe they're at the monument to Jane and, like, they're laying some flowers down or something. Some sort of closure to those two characters and their relationship with Jane. Because all we saw is Eric was over, like, a phone recording call. And, what is Kat Dennings' character's name? I can't remember. She just shows up while Jane's in chemo and gets her snacks. So I wish we could have gotten some closure there. I was shocked that they killed her in this first appearance movie, but I guess it makes sense. Probably, don't want to bring Natalie Portman back for each film. She probably doesn't want to do it. They probably don't want to pay her that much, or maybe. It's unfortunate, but with the credits reveal that she is in Valhalla, she is, there is the option of bringing her back, especially when they do Secret Wars. And finally, Hercules! Hercules is showing up. I'm a bit disappointed if with his looks, his costume is comic accurate. I was hoping he would have a great big bushy beard and the, Hercules themed haircut, which I guess is like an undercut or something. But, he looks cool. I hope in his next appearance he does have a big old beard, just because that's what I picture when I see Hercules. But, overall I enjoyed it. Not as much as I did, Ragnarok or Multiverse of Madness or some more of the recent ones. I think I liked it more than Black Widow. But yeah, I did like it. I'm not shitting on it. I don't hate it. I just have the biggest issue is that it was a very rushed story that did not have a lot of space for the emotions that it was casting out. These emotions of sadness, of being lost, of rekindling lost relationships. That does happen, and that's one of the best scenes is when Thor and Jane are on the deck of the ship and they're talking about like their past relationship. But again, what I loved about Taika Waititi in his earlier films, specifically Boy is one of, if not my favorite films of all time, is that he really can balance comedy with emotion. But just this film was just so much more comedy. And I was disappointed by that, because I was looking forward to it. I was like, oh yeah, no, he's got this. But it just doesn't feel like he did. Maybe it has something to do with Marvel apparently mandating that it had to be under 2 hours for some reason. But yeah, I don't know. It's just, I hope that there is some sort of extended release or just a lot of deleted scenes on the home release. And with that, I just realized I forgot to show off Destructo Boy again this week. So I'm gonna, this is a wrap on the episode. Let me know anything you thought of Miss Marvel, Thor Love and Thunder, The Boys, whatever. Let me know what you thought of in the episode, comments below. Destructo Boy, I'm holding it upside down. Destructo Boy, The Era of Alpha Carnal, Part 1 of 2 is on sale, etsy.com/shop/Blake T. Wild. Make sure you capitalize the B, T, and W. It's a fully completed comic, and the second issue is coming soon. Again, I've been busy recently. I was working on that project for that guy, so I sort of put this other stuff on the back burner. Just trying to get that done. I'm busy with life, and I don't get paid enough on YouTube to, have that be a full-time thing, or to have that have a lot of focus. But, check this out, because issue 2 is coming soon, and I do not know if I'll be reprinting these. I'm going to be going to a local convention later this year, and I'll be selling them off there as well. If you do buy a physical copy, which is $9.99, digital is $5, then you do get a free head sketch of any character of your choosing. It can be Thor, it can be Jane Foster Thor, it can be Frog Thor, it can be Thor with a beard. It doesn't have to be Thor, it can be anybody. And I will do a head sketch, which is, from the neck up, like a bust. And I will sign it, autograph the book right here, and include that sketch right in this first page. So check that out, etsy.com/shop/Blake T. Wild. Link in the description below on my link tree. And, yeah. Let me know what you thought. I'll see you next week. Bye.